One other pushback we got, just to say, when we first put it in, we were kind of new to the business, and the most famous ETF publication of the time made fun of us, saying, yeah, great marketing gimmick. And my answer to that was, great, they have no idea what this is. They have no idea.
What if I told you that the game just changed for Bitcoin forever? Wall Street wasn't ready for this, and neither was the crypto market. But Cathie Wood, she saw it coming. Cathie Wood, legendary investor, visionary, and the mastermind behind ARK Invest, is breaking down the latest market chaos. With Bitcoin riding a wave of volatility, the crypto market is trying to make sense of the recent downturn. But here's where things take a wild turn. Donald Trump has just approved the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Executive Order, a move that could shake the financial system to its core. What does this mean for Bitcoin, for crypto, and for investors like you? Cathie lays it all out, how this decision could reshape the market going forward, who stands to win big, and what risks still lie ahead. And then there's the Department of Government Efficiency. Yes, it's real. This new entity could fundamentally alter money supply, stock market stability, and the fate of cryptocurrencies. Could DOGE become the most powerful force in finance? Stay locked in, because what you're about to hear could change your entire investment strategy. But before we dive in, I need you to do one quick thing. Smash that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more game-changing insights. Let's get into it.
I think it is beginning to turn heads because, if you look at I think it's not even the 4-year moving average, which would capture the cycle, but the 3-year moving average. Bitcoin has gone up every year if you're using a 3-year moving average. And I think it's just becoming undeniable that it is a force that especially now that institutions have to consider it as a new asset class, because we've also put out there, actually put it out in 2016, Bitcoin ringing the bell for a new asset class. We showed the correlations of returns. The correlations still, even though traditional investors are getting involved, the correlations with other assets still very low. It's absolutely essential that institutional asset allocators take a look at this asset. If they don't, they're not doing their fiduciary responsibility. So we're trying to help ease them, provide a bridge. Okay, we're talking your language. Bitcoin is not only a technology. It's not only one of the biggest ideas ever, the global monetary system, rules-based, digital, private, all of that. But it is a new asset class. And when you present investors with those three and they're not knowledgeable enough, it's a little bit threatening, or they feel a bit vulnerable. So we are trying to bridge in with, okay, we're going to talk your language. You need to look at this new asset class.
The global macro world, which is global liquidity and interest rate and policy decisions and all that, overlaid with uncertainty, maybe is the best way to do it, right? And I think that there's a lot of people blaming the recent price action on Bitcoin and all of that on some of that uncertainty. But how do you see Bitcoin's future if we have a world where DOGE is cutting government spending, if we have a world where these trade wars are playing out? Like how does your analysis of Bitcoin change?
5 major innovation platforms involving 15 technologies are converging and disrupting the entire traditional world order. Well, what in that world? Now, I'm very confident in our research and in our projections, but if I'm someone who doesn't do what I do all day long, and I'm studying all the ways to hedge against, all the uncertainties out there, ground shifting underneath us technologically, geopolitically, what is the one thing I am certain about? I am certain about 21 million units. I am certain about that. And there have been, for those of you, I don't know if we have an economics-oriented audience here, but Art Laffer actually helped us write that first white paper on Bitcoin. And he said, after he agreed to collaborate with us, and he said, this is what I have been waiting for since the US closed the gold window in 1971. He's been waiting. He's 85 now, I think. This has rejuvenated him.
Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your money, something you've trusted your whole life, was about to change forever. That's exactly what happened on August 15, 1971, when President Richard Nixon made a decision so radical, so world-changing, that it continues to shape our economy today. This is the story of how the U.S. abandoned the gold standard, unleashed unlimited money printing, and set the stage for the rise of Bitcoin. For nearly 30 years, the world operated under the Bretton Woods system, a deal where the U.S. dollar was backed by gold, and other countries pegged their currencies to the dollar. The system worked until it didn't. By the late 1960s, America was in financial trouble. The Vietnam War, Lyndon B. Johnson's massive social programs, and reckless government spending had led to a massive trade deficit. The world started to doubt whether the U.S. could back its dollars with gold. Countries, especially France, began demanding gold instead of holding U.S. dollars, and the U.S. gold reserves started vanishing. With inflation rising, pressure mounting, and global confidence in the dollar crumbling, Nixon had to make a choice. And on that fateful August night in 1971, he did the unthinkable. He announced that the U.S. would no longer allow the dollar to be converted into gold. The world had officially entered the fiat money era, where money was no longer tied to anything real. At first, many people didn't understand the gravity of what had happened, but soon the effects became undeniable. The dollar lost value. Without gold backing, the dollar became a free-floating currency. It depreciated rapidly, making imports more expensive and driving up inflation. Inflation soared. With no hard limit on money printing, the U.S. government could now create as much money as it wanted. The result? The 1970s saw some of the worst inflation in history. Oil prices skyrocketed. In 1973, OPEC countries, seeing the dollar's weakness, raised oil prices dramatically. This led to the infamous oil crisis and even higher inflation. Stock market chaos. Investors were confused and scared. The market dipped as people tried to figure out what a world without gold-backed money would look like. But while the move caused short-term pain, it also gave the U.S. an incredible power, the ability to print money at will, and that power would be abused again and again and again. Fast forward a few decades, and Nixon's decision had triggered a chain reaction. The U.S. national debt exploded. The dollar lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Financial crises became the norm, from the 2008 collapse to today's inflation crisis. And then in 2009, in direct response to this broken system, Bitcoin was born. Unlike the US dollar, Bitcoin was designed to be incorruptible. Fixed supply. Only 21 million BTC will ever exist, unlike fiat money, which can be printed infinitely. Decentralized. No government can manipulate Bitcoin's value, a store of value. Like gold, Bitcoin is scarce, making it a hedge against inflation. Even in Bitcoin's first-ever block, its anonymous creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, left a message. The time is January 3, 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. It was a warning, a reminder that governments would always manipulate money unless people had an alternative. Since 1971, the dollar has been losing its value, while Bitcoin and gold have surged. Now people are asking, will the world continue trusting fiat money, or are we returning to hard money like Bitcoin? Let's get more insight from Cathie Wood.
He's proselytizing to the rest of the world, El Salvador, Suriname, he was in Argentina, and he's beginning to help them understand how important this source of certainty will be to them. And one of the biggest things that has surprised us, when we were brainstorming about Bitcoin in the early days of ARC, our working assumption was that the early government adopters of Bitcoin would be in the emerging markets because they live in such a chaotic world that is, they are battered every now and then by the dollar's appreciation, and which, they've got a lot of dollar denominated debt. They run their countries on their own currency, and they're losing out constantly. So I've been very surprised that the U.S. really, yes, El Salvador was there, but the U.S. is leading the charge here, and I think it's going to serve us very well over time.
The economy moving forward over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, because I think that's going to have a very big impact on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Let's start with DOGE. Mm-hmm. They say they're slashing costs. Every day they're tweeting some ridiculous use of taxpayer money. What is your confidence level in their ability to be successful? But also, how do you think that affects financial markets? So much of asset prices going up has been that the government is incredibly bad at their job and they waste a lot of money. So we devalue the dollar and asset prices go up. But if DOGE is successful, does that actually hurt asset prices?
Oh, no. I actually think this is... I started in the business, I was in college in the late 70s, but really here in New York in the early 80s. And it was the Reagan Revolution. And he was changing. The 70s were just a horrible decade. And so there was a similar kind of an election and a willingness to change. I think we're well known for our Tesla research and our Tesla position. So I don't speak to Elon that much, but when we talked about this topic, I said, government spending is taxation. Government spending, that's how you sell this. Surface everything that you find out there, because we haven't done that. We haven't cleaned house in so long. And I think, Elon is relentless, and he's got a boss who's also relentless. So I do think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to drive huge increases in productivity as well. So Reagan Revolution, I think this revolution will dwarf the Reagan Revolution, but I grew up in the heyday of active asset management. Now everybody kind of is passive or benchmark sensitive. Those were the glory years, and I think we're going back to the glory years. I think deregulation, I think on monetary policy, I do believe that one of the reasons Trump has become such a fan is, it's good competition for the dollar. And he wants that. He wants monetary policy to be influenced by it. I don't think he wants the dollar to go away, and I don't think it will. But I think we're going to have, Bitcoin and the dollar as the two sort of reserve currencies out there.
The last thing I want to talk about is the strategic Bitcoin reserve. There are people in this room that are salivating over the idea that they got to front run the United States of America and every other country to buy Bitcoin. And they think that when the United States, when not if, finally capitulates and buys Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will look like a vertical line straight up. Forget the price impact for a second, but what do you think the odds of a strategic Bitcoin reserve are, let's say, this year?
Are you really then going to get all the way up to 1 million Bitcoin? How do you do that? How do you fund it? Well, our gold is at cost on our balance sheet. Land is at cost. I learned from Senator Lummis that a third of the land in the United States and 50% in Wyoming is on our country's balance sheets at cost. Think about that. Think about that. We could sell a little bit off, and we could definitely, and same with gold. Same with gold.
And that's a wrap, but the conversation is just getting started. Cathie Wood just laid out some mind-blowing insights, but now it's over to you. Do you think Bitcoin is gearing up for a breakout like we've never seen before? Or are we in for more twists and turns? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm excited to hear what you think. If you found this video valuable, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, share it with others who need to see this, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more powerful updates on the crypto markets. Your support is what keeps this community growing, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay informed, and stay ahead of the game.